What's up, everybody? Jessica and I are back.
We're back.
It's been a while.
Yep. A few bumps in the road.
The few, yeah, that's to say the least. So how you feeling right now?
Well, I had chemo finally yesterday.
Well, partial.
You
didn't get the best.
But, so I'm kind of tired today and I have a really bad headache, but.
So.
That's it.
Well, it's been a while since her and I have sat down and talked about anything. We had quite the adventure on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
We set out, well, prior to vacation, she's had a cough, which you'll probably see during this video.
Yeah.
She had a cough before vacation, and it's been checked out. It's nothing severe or anything. It's just a lingering cough.
Mm-hmm.
And with anybody fighting cancer and on chemo, it takes a lot longer to get over stuff than what it does if you didn't have it. So we left on a Thursday night, and we drove just a few hours just to get a head start, stayed the night. And she has the hernia.
Mm-hmm.
And when she coughs or sneezes or laughs too hard, it hurts.
Yeah, it hurts.
And so she was having some pain, but we just kind of chalked it up as you were coughing so much that it was like sore muscle.
Yeah. It felt really tender. But it started to like hurt on this side. And my hernia is over here. And it was just like real tender and like I couldn't even laugh without like it hurting.
So while we're on vacation, you like the second night in the hotel that we stayed at the El Rancho Hotel, and you chose to stay in the room.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling good, and we didn't think about it at the time, but I think I was running a fever because I was like I had the chills. Mm-hmm. And
there was a lot, like looking back, like we missed this sign, we missed that sign type thing. But also those signs could have been just chalked up to what we thought it was.
Yeah.
So then the next day we hit the road, and as long as you were kind of sitting and stuff, you were all right until you coughed, laughed, or sneezed.
Mm-hmm.
So then we get into California, and as we started doing stuff, you started getting out of energy
tired, shortness of breath.
Right. So like a lot of the walking.
I couldn't eat a lot. Like we went to In-N-Out, which is like one of our favorite places, and I could eat like half of my hamburger, and it was like.
But when I sit there and ask her, "Are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine. Constantly, she's fine. Doesn't matter what it is, you're fine. So as vacation kind of went on, we ended up in, we took the drive to Area 51, mm-hmm. which was mostly sitting. There wasn't much to get out on. Then we get to Vegas.
I didn't get out at Area 51, so I didn't go to the gate. Government. It wasn't me.
Yeah.
It was me. In the car.
It was me. So we get to Vegas, we get to our hotel, and you're just not feeling it.
Mm-mm.
And so you said, take Carson down to Fremont Street. You guys have fun. I'll be in the hotel. So we're down there. I would text, "Are you okay? You're good?" "I'm fine." And then it was later that night you kind of expressed that you're having more pain.
Mm-hmm. It started to hurt more and more every day.
So I was like, "Do we need to go to the hospital?" And you said,
No.
No. So we decided to leave Vegas in the morning and head home. We had a couple more stops that we wanted to do that she kept pressing for to go ahead and stop. Let's do it. And I said, "No, we need to get you home so we can get you to the doctor." And so we left Vegas in the morning. On the way out of town, we stopped at my grandparents' grave, and probably about an hour after that, you really I don't want to use the word complaining, expressing that you're hurting pretty good. And there has been a couple of times towards that end where she would ask me, "Do you think I'm running a fever?" And your head didn't feel feverish to me. So it started out, we chalked it up to, you're sore here because of the coughing and stuff, and you're feeling like crap because of the chemo. Also, when your numbers are low, your gums bleed.
Oh yeah, they were bleeding a lot. I was getting nosebleeds.
So,
which we thought elevation.
Yeah, because we were in some pretty high elevation for a lot of the trip. So finally, we're driving, and I told her, I was like, well, why don't you just reach out to your doctor and see what they say? And so she did, and they're kind of corresponding back and forth, and they mentioned about like the nearest town, and the nearest town at that point was Kingman, Arizona. And I wasn't going to stop at a hospital in Kingman, Arizona. And this may sound totally stupid to some people, but in my mind, the population's 30,000. It's a small town. They're not going to have the specialists like a bigger town would have, in my opinion. And I could be totally wrong. They may have a phenomenal hospital. I don't know. I just rather have gone to somewhere else that was more populated, because in my brain, the higher the population, the more doctors are going to be there, So by the time her doctor I don't say back time got back to me, that's wrong wording, because they went back and forth. But when they did call the last time and said, hey, you need to go to the emergency room, we were about 40 miles from Flagstaff. Felt a little more comfortable with Flagstaff versus Kingman. So we chose Flagstaff. We get there. I drop her and Carson off at the door so she didn't have to walk across the parking lot. I went and parked. We went inside the hospital. They got you in quick.
They did get me in quick.
We all three went into a room where they kind of took some of your vitals, and then we were told, Carson and I were told, that we would have to leave until they got a hold of us and let us back in.
And the vitals, my heart rate was up.
Just bit the crap out of my lip.
Oh, my heart rate was up, wasn't it? Was my blood pressure?
The heart rate was up. The blood pressure was a little elevated. And that's another thing, just short walking, her beats per minute would shoot up.
Yeah.
With in scenarios that it shouldn't shoot up that much.
Like even going to the bathroom.
Right. So we had to wait for her or somebody to tell us that we can go back in. So on our end, we don't know what's going on. Carson's getting worried. I'm getting worried. It was decided that I would be the one to correspond with everybody back at home.
Because they had to put me in a room until they could get a room in the ER open, because this hospital was like crazy busy. Like this, what they say, it's the #1 trauma hospital within like 2 hours or something.
200 miles or something like that. Like they fly people in from Albuquerque and Phoenix to this place. Because I would have thought like Phoenix and Albuquerque would have been the ones, but no, from those cities they fly into Flagstaff.
And we were constantly hearing that helicopter, weren't we?
Oh yeah, that helicopter was coming and going. So finally I get word from Jessica saying we can come in. And originally they weren't going to let Carson in. They had real weird visitation rules at this hospital. After a few days, they explained to me why, and it makes sense. I'm not going to go into that whole detail. But you had to tell them.
I had to say, can my husband and my son come in? And they said, well, we usually only allow one. And I go, we're not from here. I go, my son can't stay out in the parking lot by himself. And she goes, well, we'll make an exception.
So he was able to come in.
Yeah.
And then you stayed in the ER 2 days before they actually got you a real room. Taking her to the hospital, I honestly thought maybe an overnight. You know, so that first night, Carson and I decided to sleep in the car in the parking lot. For one, I didn't want to be far away. You know, because at this point, they didn't really say if you're going to be admitted. I mean, we didn't know what was going on, and I didn't want to be far from it. Which that was a whole adventure. And I'll have to have Carson do a vlog with it, talking about the adventures of that. It was cold. Very cold. We didn't pack.
Flagstaff got cold.
We didn't pack for camping in the car. So they ran tests on you. They did CT scans twice. Ultrasound. X-rays.
I got a blood transfusion.
Yep, she did have to get a blood transfusion.
Because my numbers were low.
Too low. They did a lot of testing. There's a damn gnat or something.
Yeah.
I blame it on all your houseplants. We have a jungle. So, yeah, they did all the testing. They were real thorough with stuff. Very good hospital.
Yes. They were very good. They were very nice.
It wasn't a bad experience.
No.
I mean, it's bad that you had to be there, but the experience itself. And they were real friendly to Carson.
And I'm pretty sure they wanted to keep me forever.
Yeah, they did. They kept tacking on days, and then they were like, "Oh,
maybe you should stay till Wednesday." I'm like,
yeah, and it's just like,
come on, we want to go home.
It was an ordeal, and then they pumped you through a lot of antibiotics.
Oh, a lot. Yeah.
The result was that she was sepsis in her gut infection. We still really don't know why.
Well, I was neutropenic, which means I had been running a fever on vacation, which caused my immune system to go so low. So I probably caught something, which technically, like when you go out to eat, you're not supposed to eat like the lettuce and tomato. Like a cancer patient shouldn't do that because you don't know if it's been washed thoroughly or not.
It could have been anything. It could have been a doorknob. It could have been a grocery cart. I mean, it could have been anything. And that's why, for those that have followed our journey, especially on Facebook, and I always say, if you have any kind of sickness, stay away, because even the common cold can knock her down. And like this cough, the cough isn't really anything. It's not affecting her lungs. Are good. It's taken her forever to kick this cough to where most of us would have been over it by now. And so we don't know exactly where it came from. And the fever, again, you didn't feel feverish to me. And like twice you asked me if you felt.
Do I feel? Yeah.
You know, and like one of the times you had a hat on, and so it's going to feel slightly warm because you have a hat on.
Well, and because I would like get the chills, but then like in the middle of the night I'd wake up like sweating,
hot and sweaty.
So,
which happens a lot with ever since your hysterectomy.
So they really pushed the antibiotics. I got so much antibiotics.
So she started feeling a little bit better, you know. Oh, she had IVs in each arm. And where they put the IV, she couldn't bend her arms.
Oh, yeah.
So for a while, she wasn't doing any texting or phone calls.
Yeah,
because it just...
my right hand, I had to like keep it like this.
It was just too intense. So we would go up there and visit in the times we could, but we also would split off. It's a hospital. The spouse and the kid don't get fed, so we would have to leave to get something to eat. Carson with us, you know, we would take a couple hours to kind of explore the town a little bit or go to a shop he wants to go to. to give him some normalcy, to balance that out within, and then still spending time up there with her. There was times that we came up there and you were sleeping, and we kind of turned around and left to let her get her rest. I know what it's like in the hospital when people come.
Because at night, they come in constantly checking your vitals and doing this, and
So you're not getting sleep. So
yeah,
we tried to allow her to get as much sleep, so we would leave, but there's a couple times where you'd start drifting off, like, I'm gonna leave, and like, no, stay. So we would stay. It didn't seem like it was ever gonna end.
Which they got to stay in a hotel like right across from the hospital.
It's so after that first night, sleeping in the car.
Mama took care of them.
Well, Carson and I were looking for a hotel, not knowing how. At this point, they said you're going to be there a few days, or a couple more days, and so we're like, thinking, no, another 2 nights. Well, we're on our way back from vacation, so that means funds are running low, and Carson and I went to several different places, and it was either too expensive or it just looked rough as hell. And so Carson and I was like, let's just go to Walmart, get an air mattress, get some blankets, and we'll just sleep in the car. If we have an air mattress and blankets, perfect. She wasn't having it. So she found the Taylor house, which is across the street. I call it a halfway house. It's just a single story. It almost kind of has like a retirement community vibe. It has a community kitchen and this, now you have your own rooms. And you have to have a key fob to get in and out. It was kind of high security. But it's meant for families that aren't from that area that have somebody hospitalized. And it was $60 a night, which was, and no tax either.
And it was a really nice room.
It was a big room.
Big room.
It was a big room. So that's where Carson and I ended up from the second night all the way on.
Yeah.
Just the day she got released, 5 days later, it was in the evening. So we decided that room was available one more night, thankfully. So Jessica came back there with us to spend the night to get some rest and then make our journey back home. The journey back home, I don't want to say it was rough. It was rough for me. It was rough in the sense that when we stayed in Amarillo, I didn't sleep.
Yeah.
Like I just couldn't. There's so much going on in my brain.
He just wanted to get us home.
And so that next day, I didn't speak in the car.
I thought he was mad at me.
I was silent because I'm overtired. I'm cranky. You're still trying to process what the hell just happened. I'm worried about her. I'm stressed because I don't want anything to happen on the road, And then when I got home, or when we got home, I told her, I said, hey, I'm going to go fill up the car again. I'm going to go take it to the car wash. And that was my way of just like escaping for a few minutes by myself to just kind of process everything. And she's like, well, when you get back, don't be mad at me. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? And she's like, you didn't say nothing on the way home that day. And I'm just like, it has nothing to do with you.
Usually when he's like that, he's like, hey, there's nothing, you haven't done anything. I'm just not in a talkative mood. And I'm like, okay.
I didn't sleep. I didn't sleep. It was a rough night. Like I didn't plan on leaving the hotel around 9 or so, but we left about 7. Because about 6:30, I'm just like, I'm not going to sleep. Sleep is lost for the night. Let's get up, get a head start, get home.
Yeah.
So that was a hell of an adventure. Oh, and while we were there, they found a lesion.
Oh, well, they told us, that there was a lesion on my pancreas and on my liver.
And they didn't know if it was cancerous or not.
Yeah. And so we're like, so is this pain like cancer? Like,
right. So that'll raise the stress level.
Yeah.
Because
so then we're like, Because we even asked the doctor, and she's like, "Oh, I don't know," and she kind of got snippy with Michael, like, "I already told you that."
Oh yeah, we're talking about how great experience it was. I did forget about that. Yeah, not the first doctor, but the second doctor we got with, because she came in the room one night or one morning and was talking to us about stuff. And of course, afterwards, you think of questions or you want to verify.
Yeah.
It's a lot of information to gather at one moment. And so when she came in the next morning, I'm asking the questions, and pardon me for asking the same question I asked yesterday, and she got snippy and said, "Well, I already told you about that yesterday."
Well, and the reason we were asking, because I had scans done not a month before that.
PET scans done.
And there was nothing like that. So then in your head, you're just like, well, is that what's causing this pain? Like,
right. Which after we got home and saw her doctor, that compared, said it is not cancer.
Yeah, she said
it's probably
she looked at the scans and she was like, it doesn't even
look like anything.
Yeah.
And if it's something there, it's from the inflammation and infection. So that part, the pancreatic ones that scared me.
Yeah.
You don't mess with pancreatic cancer. So that was stressful.
But my doctor did say, for every day that you're in the hospital, it takes a week to recoup. And I was, there 5 days? Mm-hmm. It's true. Like, I am just...
It's knocked her down a great deal. It really has.
No energy. But my numbers are still low. Like...
And that's the struggle that we're doing. Is her numbers are low. We're still dealing with that wound on her hernia, her belly. They're not giving her the Avastin, and she really needs it, but the Avastin hinders healing, and we need this to heal.
Mm-hmm.
When we went to the doctor that following Tuesday, we talked to her about it. They wanted her to talk to a surgeon. And the surgeon she already talked to last year, and he was kind of an ass about it. And him and that other surgeon basically said that they weren't going to do it because you're too high risk.
They want me to be cancer-free.
Cancer-free.
One of them wants me to lose 50 pounds.
So when she went Friday, was it Friday?
Which I knew I didn't want to see this doctor again. I was like, oh, I don't like him.
So Friday you went, the first thing out of his mouth was, "I thought I told you to lose weight."
I said, well, I've been on chemo this whole time, and that's really hard to lose weight on. And he was like, oh, yeah.
Well, you're on, the thing is you're on chemo, so it knocks you down. You don't have, your numbers are low. You can't do exercises. Yeah. And then on top of that, you have that thyroidism.
Yeah.
That makes it even more difficult. Or the one you had, what is it, hyper or hypo? Hypo. That makes it even more difficult to lose weight. I don't know, that upset me. And I wasn't there for this one. And I'm probably glad I wasn't there. Because that was just a rude introduction. That was just a rude thing to say, in my opinion. So that was vacation. We did have good time on vacation. There was some good moments on vacation. You were able to do some things, you know. It was rough. It was bad timing for this vacation, but we planned this a hell of a long time ago. We booked hotels a long time ago. I will say that there was a couple places that we were supposed to stay and we just couldn't because she was in the hospital. So I want to give a shout out to in Holbrook, Arizona, the Wigwam Hotel, the teepees from Route 66. I called them and told them, it's like, understand it's non-refundable. We're not going to make it. And they were cool. We paid $1 to hold it. Mm-hmm. And they could have very well taken the money and said, tough, but they didn't. She offered prayers and said that, don't worry about it. We lost $1. We lost $1, I think, on that. And then we were supposed to stay at Airbnb when we got back, just you and I, which clearly we were still in Flagstaff then, and they worked with us really well. And instead of us losing out on it, they booked another date.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have another opportunity to do that. The hospital is great. The Taylor House is great. The people, Flagstaff, were great. You know, the people that Carson and I dealt with. You know, it was an adventure. You know, and to me, it's crazy to think that the time at Flagstaff is, I don't know how to explain it.
Which is really funny because Michael's always said, I want to move to Flagstaff. I want to move to Flagstaff.
I did.
And after spending 5 days there, he's like, I'm pretty content at home.
Well, I've always loved Flagstaff. And I've traveled through there for years. We've never really explored the town, you know, but after being there, it is a beautiful town. It really is, you know. Especially the downtown area is awesome. Carson and I enjoyed it. But I was put in a situation where we're 16 hours away from home with no family. We had support, just not physical, you know, support. And that was tough. You know, our girls were here, our parents were here. I mean, everybody was here. We had nobody. We had to make do. But I'm also thankful that Carson was with me. You know, it was able to lean on each other. You know, I had to lean on him just like he had to lean on me. That way we can stay strong for this one and stay strong for everybody back at home. And we did have a lot of people offer stuff to us, money, this and that, and I did decline. And that's a pride thing with me that I'm going to have to learn that sometimes it's okay to accept help, but it's very hard for me to swallow that pill. I'm just one that will make it, and I've lived my whole life that way. Our whole marriage has been, we'll make it. You know, it always works out in the end somehow. But we do appreciate everybody, all the texts, the calls, the offerings. We have a hell of a support system. I did accept a couple offerings, you know, because at that point I really had no choice. So for those that I turned down, I'm sorry. For those that I finally had to accept, thank you.
Thank you.
So that's been our adventure. This is up to date.
Well, the hernia thing is still kind of on hold. So like pretty much all of my bowels are like on the outside, like with a 6-inch opening. And I went to wound care the other day, and the doctor that I saw used to be a general surgeon doing these kind of surgeries, and he said, you know, you're not having any problems now, and usually when they do this surgery, they need you off chemo, you know, before and after. And he goes, but then with all your bowels being on the outside, if you have to have emergency surgery, then it's like a whole different road. You know what I mean? And you're not going to be off chemo. So that's going to cause the healing.
Yeah, and he said
that much worse.
He said the recovery on the surgery either way is going to be
hard.
tough.
And so that general surgeon that I saw, he's supposed to talk to my oncologist and then wound care, just to kind of do like the pros and cons.
For everybody to
best.
Get on the same page and see what's going to be the best option.
Because the general surgeon's like, I can do the surgery, you know. I just worry about healing and you getting an infection and stuff like that. So they all have my best interest. It's just what path to take.
It's going to be a hard road either way.
Yeah. So, and like the general surgeon said, he's like, I mean, does your hernia bother you? No. I mean, it's uncomfortable at times, but
As long as you don't cough or sneeze,
yeah,
it's fine. But
it's doable,
so yeah, that's still up in the air.
So that's up in the air. But I did get my Topotecan yesterday, and then they gave me a shot to boost for my bone marrow to make more red blood cells to boost up my hemoglobin and red blood cells, because that's why I'm very tired and sluggish and getting out of breath, because those numbers are kind of low. So hopefully the shot will help.
But you're getting spoiled, so there's a positive.
I'm getting spoiled.
That makes it sound like I made you say that. So that's
But I will say, I am in kind of a funk.
she is, and it's noticeable. Not that it's bad, but there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and there's a lot going on. There's discussions that we're having to have that no couple wants to have. It's just, it's the nature of cancer, and there's things behind the scenes that we're not going to go public with, but yeah, she has been in a little bit of a funk lately, which is hard because there's nothing I can do. I try to cheer you up, make you laugh. We watch the trash shows, but there's a lot that goes on in here. And sometimes it becomes a bad neighborhood there. When you start thinking about it, or the reality of things, what happens in this in your head becomes a bad neighborhood to be in. And it's par for course. But you're still working, which is insane. It's not only insane to me, but even like her oncologist and stuff, it's like, you're still working. The hospital and Flagstaff, you're still working. Like, everybody's shocked that, she's been battling this just a little over 3 years now.
Yeah. But they really spoil me at work. I'm not allowed to get up to answer the door anymore, so I can just pretty much sit at my desk and do my thing. And
we've said this in other vlogs, and I'm going to say it again. The crew that she works with,
they're amazing.
It's amazing. I mean, they take such good care of you.
Mm-hmm.
They're very supportive. And I don't know, not very many jobs that would. She'll go wild if she doesn't miss much work, and there's sometimes she's missing like 2 or 3 days a week or half days, but they've been great. So if any of you guys watch this, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That takes some stress off in itself, and it's very, very appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't throw props to your job without throwing up to my job either, because the company I work for has been phenomenal. And even when we were stuck in Flagstaff, it was the same thing. Her boss, my boss, tells the same thing. Don't you worry about your job. You take care of it. Like, I ended up going back to work that Thursday after we got back, and they're like, take the rest of the week off. I'm like, no, I actually need to go to work with my mind off
Get
of
back
this.
in your routine.
But very supportive, and we can't thank you guys enough.
Mm-hmm.
Because we would be up shit creek if they decided to let her go.
Yeah.
So, all right, that's where we're at. Let's leave on a positive note.
Okay.
We're looking at you like, I'm trying to... Sometimes it's hard to throw that positive out there. But I guess the biggest positive right now is everything you're going through is still manageable.
Mm-hmm. True.
You know, the doctors are still very optimistic
Mm-hmm.
about it, and we're just gonna keep trucking and live life. And if she's having a down day, my job is either make her laugh or shut the hell up. So
Let's just get those numbers back up, and so I can start getting some energy. And
she wants her energy back because she feels bad that she's not able to do stuff around the house. And she's made the comment to me before that she feels like she's a burden on me. And that irritates me because she's not a burden on me. And I have no issues getting stuff done around the house. I'm an active husband as it is. And it's not just the cancer. Even before cancer, I clean, I help you out with everything. We work together. But
yeah.
she needs her rest when she can get it. You don't need to be running around the house. So anyways, let's just close it out. We love y'all. Appreciate everything. Appreciate all the support that we've gotten.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's up to date now on what's going on. So we'll just, we're back in a routine of releasing videos again. We had a little bit of a stall. Life happens. But we grabbed it by the horns. Here we are. And that's it.
Yep.
You guys take care. We'll see you next week. Be positive, be kind, be awesome.
Bye.
Bye.